Well, hi guys. Anna Phillips, Music Mind Wellbeing. Get the shirt right. How you doing? How's your week been? And I love starting with like different wins. So we've just literally done that behind the scenes, right? So Nico and I are here just to chop it up again and talk about some subjects that really do affect you. Now, Nico does communications. So, how are you speaking? Who are you speaking? For years, I was called Eloquent Anne. Years. It's brilliant because I do like introducing new words, like, at least once, maybe twice a month, there'll be something that I'll sneak in somewhere. But mine's all about mindset. So, Nico, how has No Halo been for you this week?
This week has been a great week. It's been productive. It's been a little bit daunting. Um, when we were talking behind the scenes, you had mentioned the word outside the outside. And I think that's a beautiful description of how my week's been. It's been outside the outside.
It really
Uh,
has.
yeah.
That's so cool. You know what? I wanted to ask you as we are chopping into all of this, how important is it to learn from your peers? Regarding for you, like communication, mental health, for me, mindset change and mental health. How important is that to learn from your peers, your mentors?
Well, I guess I'm going to answer your question with a question. And I don't
Ooh,
always do that, but I believe this is a perfect time for it.
let's go for
Um,
it.
I've heard it in derogatory terms, so I'm going to try to tone it down. But would you? I don't listen to people. I don't listen to a fat doctor about my health. That's the simplest way that I can do it. Would you listen to? This is to the viewers. Would you listen to a fat doctor about your health? The doctor comes in and has a big old belly and a couple ketchup stains on his shirt, but the white coat is over it. The whatever they listen to your heart with can't even like touch around his neck because he's got a freaking 24-inch neck and can barely breathe. Are you going to listen to them about your health? Most people won't. And so that's how I would answer or phrase that response is because I do not listen to people who cannot provide results. So
Mhm.
having a peer in whatever realm it is that you're trying to make a change in health, wealth, relationships, business, who is just speaking from a theoretical place has no footing to stand on. So
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
that's how I view these things. And I do my best not to speak on anything that I haven't done personally, because even in my own lived experience, I would go to individuals and I'd be sat down in front of the therapist, sat down in front of the psychologist, sat down in front of the counselor. And my first question to them would be, how long are you clean? Oh, well, I've never done drugs. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do this hour real quick. But I got my answers. Have a nice day. Um,
Right.
so
That
that's how important it is.
that to me, that's why I love talking to you, because we're both lived experience. So when people come to us and they're saying, well, how do you know? And it's like, well, Anne, I know you've written all about change, but how do you really know about change? What has really changed in your life? Well, when you've gone through trauma, when you've gone through addictions, and there are so much length and weight behind that. As you say, someone can come into the room and actually say to you, so how long have you been clean? How long have you been free from any form of, like, a drug addiction or even drink? And I'm happy to be able to go, oh, well, about 32 years. It's a long time, but, I can actually talk about, the bad side of it. But the thing is, I can talk about the mindset of the change, that discomfort, that emotional discomfort. So when you said, and you utilize the example of it's your health, are you going to go to a fat doctor? Why would you take that advice when you've asked them a question and they just cannot relate? Yep, let's go ahead, get through that hour, and let's just move on. The thing that I like to say with a lot of individuals going through anything, finding that appropriate treatment, finding that appropriate person, finding that appropriate success story, that is going to lead you on the correct path of where you want to be from learning from that peer. They may not have it, as I've said, there are some peers who don't always seem to have it all together. But what they have got is the wealth of knowledge that you need. What do I mean by that? Everybody is a work in progress, but there is something that you can be learning from somebody else. Reach one to teach one. So in that, how important, Nick, really, when it really comes down to it, and you've said you get through that first hour, have clients like said that to you, and what has been your reaction right there?
So yes, clients have said that to me. Well, you don't look like you've ever done drugs. I'm like, dang, then I'm doing a good job. That's my most immediate response to them is I'm doing a wonderful job then. Because yes, and then I usually use some terminology that is colloquialisms that are within
Yes.
that realm. Like, okay, what type of needle did you use? What size of needle were you on? How much were you using? Was it this color? Was it that color? There's receipts that peers can provide that other people cannot provide. And that's why it's so important, because without receipts, they're not going to let you walk out the store. So without a receipt, why am I going to let you walk into my life?
Absolutely. And inside of all of that, and I like the way that you termed it, like the receipts. So as you're talking to somebody and they've got these experiences, and they'll come to you, and somebody can relate to the fact of being a teenager and homeless, or a single parent, or having to give up their children, all these kind of things, as they come to you one by one and they're stating these things. Well, you'll never know, because, I mean, look at you. Nothing's ever happened to you. And it's because we're not promoting the side of all of what has happened, all of the trauma. We're saying, yes, the lived experiences, all of that is there, the trauma, the addictions, everything. We use that as the background because it's the launch pad that takes us to that place to speak to those lives that are still there, and they need to come out. So we're handing them the rope, and we're saying, actually, look, we tied this knot here because this occurred, but we're now saying to you, we know you're at this place. You can untie it by utilizing this. So when it comes to talking to a peer or a mentor or someone, even if you're just following someone on, as we've got thousands of views, what would you say to somebody when it comes to them gleaming? Because remember, we're in the age of information technology. It's out there. You can answer any question. What would you say to somebody about that? Big
And
question.
you're asking amazing questions, and I'm just laughing at how timely those questions are.
Wow.
I would tell the person that you get the information that you need, and then you apply it. We're in the day of information. You're right, but people think just because they've heard it, they can speak on it. No, you can't. Sorry. Don't speak on mental health things that you haven't ever lived through. Don't speak on a change that you haven't ever done. Yes, you can hear the idea behind it. You can get well, I know an expert, as I love to see. I Uncle Google, and I'm like, cool. Did you do it yourself? No, then shut your mouth, because if you don't have the application, then the information is useless. It's like having 1,000 books without knowing anything. I think it was Bruce Lee that said, "I'm more afraid of the man that has done the same kick 1,000 times than I am of the man that has done 1,000 kicks once." Right now, we live in a day and age of people who have 1,000 kicks and they've done it once, so they think they're an expert. That's a mental health issue, quite honestly. That I think that's even diagnosable. I think they have a term for
Yeah.
it. When
Yeah.
somebody hears some information, they automatically think they're an expert on it. No, you're not. You have to apply it, and you have to know what the pitfalls are. You have to know what the obstacles are. You have to know where the opportunities at. You have to know exactly what the indicators are, the mile markers of that path. Because if you don't, then you should keep your mouth shut. That's
Definitely.
my opinion.
No, you know what? And your opinion is absolutely valid, because the thing is, I remember when I was doing all of the first aid courses and the mental health first aid, and I just think to myself, wow, how many people have actually really stopped to think about, and I talked about this on one of my lives a few months back, and even thinking about that mental health is like a line, right? And we move up and down that line at any one given time. And it can be anything in any day that can trigger any of us, right? But that doesn't mean that you're a lived in experience expert in it. When you were walking in that depressive episode, and yes, and then you eventually get clinically diagnosed, you've walked through that path of depression. You know it feels like a quagmire. You know how dark and how lonely and how much effort it takes to arise from that, step by step, day by day, the fog to clear, because your mind is in the state of fog anyway. And getting through that means that you are having to change your thoughts, your patterns, your conditioning, all of the things that surround all of that. That is not as you have stated, it's not a read once, open your mouth and I'm a speaker. It's not. Because you have to really understand that to be able to do that, how did you go through it? What were the steps that you actually took to really work through that? What got you through may not always get somebody else through, but it will certainly be the step towards helping someone break out. One question, as you said, the questions were really poignant. One question can absolutely change everything in someone's lives. What is one question that you really like to ask people?
Why?
Same, high five. Seriously, why?
Those 3 letters can change somebody's world.
Completely. And the why, when they start thinking, I'm just thinking of someone, literally, the person likes to clean, right? So we had this conversation and they said, oh no, not OCD clean. And I said, but you clean nearly all the time, right? They're not washing hands and all that, yeah, but they do. So when it came to it, I sat them down and I said, why? Why do you think that is? They started to unpack in the reverse engineering of the why. And it got to a teenage memory that was really brutal. But it had a physical appearance in their body now. 3 days after that breakthrough, the physical appearance had decreased by approximately 75%. They were really starting to literally use the talk therapy to go back, self-reflect, and analyze why they were doing because of that point there, and then bringing it forward into the now. How is that asking the why for you? Also, if you can give an example, change someone.
Yeah, of course. I did it. I had to do the why on my own. I didn't really have somebody to do it. So, I should say, I chose not to do it with somebody. Let me rephrase that. I chose to do it by myself because I'm a pretty independent, guarded individual. Um, but when I asked myself, for me, one of my root issues is rejection, right? I struggle with rejection, and that is something that has been a barrier for most of my life. I would do anything to please most people. So when I started asking myself why, it got down to a childhood experience where that childhood experience had me not, I wasn't around my parents all the time. And so that nurturing was gone. And because of that, by no like negative means, it was just life. Life happens. And because of that, I realized that that is why I have an issue with rejection, because of the amount of time that I spent away from my parents at such a young age. So that's one example. I'll use a second one real quickly if that one didn't drive the point home. There's a young man that I was working with, and he was in a treatment facility, and he was having a hard time communicating with a lot of the other clinicians. So I was in there one day just working with him, and I asked him why about 3, 4 different times. Um, he said one of the main roots of his issue was because uh, he needed to stop thinking about a female. Cool. Well, why'd you need to stop thinking about the female? Well, because when I think about her, I think about certain events. Well, why do those events associate with the female? Well, those events associate with the female because of X, Y, and Z. And it got down to it that he would go and cheat on this girl because he would think about these certain thoughts about her. And so to get rid of them, he would go and cause the problem. I was like, so why do you do that instead of have the conversation with her? He's like, I'm scared. Bada bing. There's a fear there. What is the fear? Why are you scared? Again, his was, I'm scared of being rejected by her. So I'd rather reject her first. I was like, how's that going? He's like, not well.
How's that working for you? How is that working for you? They are two really clear and wonderful examples of using the why. I just want to cross over into the trust area, because as people come to us, they trust us and everything. One of the things that I love getting people to do, if I'm face to face with you, I will do this. But if I'm actually doing like, a video call, I can still do this in a way that it helps somebody. But normally we'll have the camera and we're moving it around. So in a group setting, when I'm teaching, I get everybody to close their eyes. And then as they close their eyes, because like people have name badges on, I'm able to call out the names and be able to say, right, you take 2 steps forwards. Right, next set of names, you move to the left or you move to the right. And I will make sure it is absolutely so clear for them to be able to do this. Why? Because they have to trust in what I'm telling them. By the time we finish, and it can only take maybe sometimes 7, 10, 15, it depends on how many people are there, right? You've moved from one location to another location completely. You've missed chairs, obstacles. When someone's doing it in like their room and they're moving around with the camera and you can see the actual space, it is slightly more complicated. But because I've worked with people who are blind, it's easier for me to give the instruction. Now, that level of someone trusting your voice, I know that some people do it, and I think there's other, like there's motivational speakers and things who will do the catch me. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
people who have got real trust issues drop into the arms of other people and are caught. Some people, again, it changes their lives. So when someone's coming to you and they don't know how to trust you, and we're going through the why, and we're maybe utilizing an exercise of trust, there are other ones that I get them to write down that I won't be speaking on at this time, but there are certain things that they do, because obviously that's confidential for what they do. But that then enhances their level of trust. How is that for you? How is bridging that trust gap?
Mhm. So I mentioned to you that I'm kind of guarded when it comes to helping
Yeah.
individuals. I'm an open book. So when we're doing those one-on-one sessions, when we're having group sessions that are confidential, I
Mm.
usually ask them, "What do you need to know about me? What do you need to know about me in order
Mhm.
for you to understand that I'm here to help and
Mhm.
trust that I'm speaking from a place of knowledge, not theory?"
Mhm.
So I actually flip it and I give them the opportunity.
Mhm.
Ask any question. And if it's something that I don't want to speak about, then I'm going to let you know, hey, you know what? That's just not a topic that we're going to be discussing. And
Yeah.
people seem to, honestly, people seem to draw more to you when you can tell them no. Like, hey, that's just not an area of conversation we're having. I see the doors open up a little bit more because they're like, oh, so we can establish boundaries. Like it's a language of, yes, I'll let you so far in, but no, you can't have all of it. So
Absolutely.
that's how
Mhm.
I tend to do it, is by just being open. I'm gonna be at a school later on this week, and that's what I intend on doing. Is just the first class is, what do you guys need to know about me?
Absolutely. It's funny because our regulations here are slightly different. So the regulations that we have, you can go a certain amount, but everything else is definitely a boundary that you are putting in place. That's why I said there's certain things I can't speak right now. It's just, we're in different countries. It is slightly different.
Mhm.
But really, these are such powerful things. The why, the trust, knowing that, like for you, the rejection was that point, understanding that, yep, I've been through the homeless, the trauma, the depression, all of that, plus others, just being able to bring that out and speak on those things so that somebody knows, okay, I can reach out to both these individuals, because the life experiences, yes, the theory is great, right? But the life experience, no one's going to take that away from you, because you are an expert in that area. You may not know the whole theology of it, but you are an expert in that area because of coming through and winning. What's the winning point that you'd like to leave people with?
I think that the winning point for me when you were talking is, there's four roots that I've identified, uh, just through my own practices, through some scientific tools that we have access to. But four of the
Mm,
roots that I know drive people's behavior is the fear of being wrong, the fear of sudden change, the fear of being taken advantage of, and then the fear of being rejected. Those are four roots that I know can stem into larger issues. With that being said, uh, one of the wins or ways that I think people can overcome is by looking for individuals with that similar root. Because, like you said, there's a difference. There's a reason why me and you collaborate so well, is because we come from two completely separate realms, but can discuss change on a level playing that we both know about because we've seen it and we've lived it. And at a certain level, you become familiar with just that aura about somebody. So that's
Absolutely.
where I would start. I would start with identifying one of your roots, and then you'll start to climb that root and find others who are on that tree.
Oh, that's just wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it so much. Um, God, do I really want to even add anything to that? I just turn around and say, you know what, guys, really, one thing that a couple of things that I do want to give to you. The more you know, the easier it's going to get for you. Because as you do that intrinsic work, that self-reflection, the more you know, the easier it starts to become. But it will be harder first. There's going to be a healing crisis first, because it will feel like, why is this all happening? I can't. And suddenly you want to reach and do what you did before. But if you don't, and you keep on going, the more you know, the easier it will become in the long term. Then secondly, nothing, absolutely nothing is worse than doing nothing. Not taking any action at all. Knowing there's a problem and not doing anything about it. Do something. Reach out to someone. Talk to someone. Call someone. Deal with that situation. And you know what? I have to say that it's almost like, as we talk, we're being that good friend to whoever's out there, and they're hearing this right now. So if you really need to reach out to either of us for any form of help, please do so. We'd love to have your questions in the comments. We've both got our websites, our challenges are out there, guys. Everything that you need to get you to that next level and help you get through what you're going through is there for you. So reach out to us. Yeah, all the details are down there. Follow, like, subscribe to this channel, to No Halo, wherever you see us, just reach out. We do not mind at all. It's an attitude. It's a mindset. Change will change you. Nick, it's been a pleasure as always. Oh my gosh, what an amazing conversation. Guys, I've just got to say something. Our conversations are not pre-planned. And we did it this way on purpose so that we are speaking genuinely. Isn't it, Nick?
Yes, it's absolutely just two people sitting down and talking.
It's an organic conversation, guys. Organic, completely from our hearts to you. Oh. Be amazing, because you guys truly are. And I know you're out there and you're being really phenomenal. So I'm Anne Phillips, Music, Mind and Wellbeing. I affect the mind to empower the person. Nick?
Yeah, I'm Nico with No Halo, and I help people figure out how to do better each and every day.
Exactly, because no one's an angel.
No.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week.